it's over. The trade deadline is gone, and the Warriors didn't do a second move. I think all of us are waiting, and the name flying by was Nikola Vucevic, as I have been suggesting, but the Warriors didn't go for it. So let's break down the Jimmy Butler trade, which I said here, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a super fan. I think it's an upgrade compared to Wiggins, but I think we let it go. Dennis Schroder that was starting to feed. I'm not much concerned about Kyle Anderson and Lindy Waters. They were not in the rotation right now. But there's also one major issue for the future, which I will highlight here in the video. But I also want you to see what Stephen Curry said and send a clear message of what he expects about Jimmy Butler, and I'll show you later in the video. So let's break down, right? It was the Warriors, as I said yesterday, they were focusing on Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant apparently rejected and said that he didn't want to join the Warriors, and we know this might be because of Steve Kerr, because of Draymond Green and that fight that they had, but he asked basically to stay in Phoenix and it's not being traded. Then the Warriors focus again on Jimmy Butler, which was actually the initial goal, but he wanted an extension. And he has been, that was one of the reasons, and the whole drama with Miami, it was because Jimmy Butler won a different extension, and the Warriors end up giving that to him. We're gonna talk about his new contract as well. But let's see. It's definitely like, we know that Jimmy Butler made a career, right? He has been finals, has led the Miami Heat team. We have heard that he's a great teammate. Like, he's definitely a defensive player. Like, he's gonna bring on that level as well. And he's a hustler, right? What we know is that he's definitely gonna grind, and I think he's gonna be a very competitive guy despite being 35 years old. There are risks, right? And that's the point that I wasn't super happy with this trade. I think Andrew Wiggins was important. I'm gonna do actually a separate dedicated thank you video for Andrew Wiggins with his best plays, to release that in a day or two. But I think that's very risky, and I do think it's an upgrade. I just don't think that solved the whole problem. I said here yesterday, just trading for Butler or Kevin Durant, you wouldn't put the Warriors as a real title contender. Maybe we're gonna do something in the playoffs. Like, I think a playoff Jimmy, right? He's famous for that. Like, we will be able to do something. I think we are more competitive right now. We open some spots in the roster that we're gonna look in a bit as well. Curious to see what the Warriors will do with those, but um, I don't think we are real title contenders, right? And that's what we want to see the Warriors being at the end of the day. Like, I'm not just for them to, go do some fun in the playoffs and then it's gone. I want to see a team that can really compete for a ring. So I think it was missing. I was hoping that the Warriors would also go for Vucevic. It would require them to trade Gary Payton and Kevin Looney, which Kevin Looney has been playing well. So I think the Warriors might have, if that was the case, right, they really were willing to do that trade and Chicago was on board with it. Maybe the thing fall apart because the Warriors didn't want to give Kevin Looney, which has been his whole career with the Warriors. And by the way, his birthday today. So I think that the more is needed, and the Butler is gonna likely be with the Warriors for the next 3 seasons, because I don't think the Warriors can flip a contract like his one that we're gonna show in a minute. So now we have a new big three: Draymond Green, Stephen Curry, and Jimmy Butler. It's gonna require some time to adjust. See what Chris Mullins talks about the trade and how Jimmy Butler will fit in the Warriors.
That's the key thing. You never really know a trade till it's with this trade, the rest of this year and into next year. We'll see how Jimmy Butler fits in. But on the surface, Jimmy Butler is a great player. A game like tonight, you're up 10. You put the ball in his hands, you slow the game down, he's going to get you a basket or a foul. So closing games, he's really, really important. A clutch performer, big-time playoff performer. How does he fit into Steve Kerr's offensive system? That's going to be something we have to work through. We saw Dennis Schroder, who's somewhat of a ball-dominant type player, had troubles. Jimmy Butler likes to have his ball in the hands. I would compare it to maybe DeMar DeRozan going to Sacramento. You have to figure that out. It's doable, but in a short amount of time now, for the rest of this season, it's going to take a lot of patience and a lot of work to work him in.
And that's the point, right? Remember, Kevin Durant didn't adjust immediately. It required Stephen Curry and the team to to put some things together so to really get to that peak level. Dennis Schroder was just getting better right now and feeding a little bit more, finding his role actually as a backup point guard coming out of the bench. Butler has been, a month without playing, only 25 games this season because the whole drama and suspensions with Miami. So it's not going to be an immediately fit. And we know that he's actually the strongest thing about Jimmy Butler is the playoffs, right? He has been famous for being the Jimmy playoffs. His numbers skyrocket in the playoffs. But the Warriors are not even there right now. Like we are in the 11th seed per last night's standing. We're still fighting for a playing tournament. We're still fighting to get better. So we need him now, and it's gonna take, I believe, a few games for him to adjust, or maybe even more. So we have, I think, 6 games. We're gonna take a look at the schedule before the All-Star game, and the Warriors we need to really fastly catch up on that, how the offense is run right now, and then when Kuminga is back, how that's going to work, right? So interesting. The probably starting five right now will be Jimmy Butler replacing Andrew Wiggins. We have been seeing Buddy Hield and Gary Payton um, in the other games, and then you have Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Quinton Post. That's likely the starting five that we're gonna see, but we definitely need to get things better. And Butler quickly on that rhythm and the pace of our offense. Look what Stephen Curry said to him, and I think this set the tone really well. And I like that he put this message out there right now. And actually, before we go to that, so this is the contract extension that I was saying before, right? So, as you see, like it wasn't easy for the Warriors to get there because Butler didn't want to sign things. He has an option, a player option with Miami for one more season, and he was actually looking for something else, right? So he actually got a pretty sweet deal with the Warriors, right? 2 years extra, 121 million. It's 60 million per year. Like it's really close to what Stephen Curry will do as well, right? So it's an amazing deal for him. He's 35 already, so he guarantees 2 extra years. And funny enough, his contract right now will match with Draymond Green, Stephen Curry, and Steve Kerr, right? So all that combined together goes into the 2026-27 season. So interesting to see. And interesting, the risk is like when you get towards the end of that, are we going to see the same drama as we saw with the Miami Heat right now? Or how is will Butler keep performing at the pace that he was before? Like his numbers actually have been going down the last couple of seasons. He's already 35. So it's a lot of unknowns and a lot of risk in this contract. But that was the way that they were trying to convince him to actually come, right? And then see now what Stefan
You
said.
know who Jimmy is. Been in 2 finals. He's a winner. I understand there's a lot of drama down there, and who really knows what the story is. We expect to have a motivated, committed, Jimmy that's ready to impact our team for the better. Got to work out the kinks of what it looks like, and I'm excited to get to work and kind of feed it off the energy of something new, and somebody that's obviously had experience at the highest of levels, has a lot to prove, in a new situation, and we're gonna try to help each other do that.
That's the point. I don't think actually that Butler, one good side that I'm looking to, that I believe he's going to be motivated, right? That he wanted this trade, and that's why he wasn't performing this season and not playing. But I think he's a competitor. I hope one concern that I have is how Draymond Green and him will clash eventually. We need to deal with that. They're both like, we know how they are emotional and competitive, all that stuff. And we have seen that problem before with the Warriors. But anyway, I do think he's will come to the Warriors willing and wanting to win, right? To show something, to show that he still has and he deserves the contract and that the Miami Heat was wrong. So is this chance, right, to do a playoff run pairing with two other all-star level players? I think that's the last big contract that he's gonna have in his career. So it's the last probably big chance he has to win a title, right? He has been finals, but he doesn't have a ring yet. So I'm less concerned about that. But I'm concerned about still, like, we still lacking, I think, until I see how it fits. I don't think the offense for the Warriors is still complete and competitive enough. We have to see more on that. But this is how the salary cap looks right now. And remember, I told you there's one major issue for the future here, right? So you see on the bottom here, I put on a blue on the names that are gone for the season, trades that we made, and then we now have 11. um we have the roster, which much smaller than before, but we have a lot of money compromised for next year, right? You're talking about Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green. That's quickly close to 130, 40 million already compromised for the next year. And then you have the max potential, which I don't think will come, but you have a massive contract negotiation to do with Jonathan Kuminga. How are we going to fit that, right? So the Warriors have a challenging time here to do, especially next season. Uh, as I said, I don't think they can flip this contract with Jimmy Butler. 54 million is not going to be easy to trade that unless he's really playing well. And then why would you do that? And then you still, I'm pretty sure the Warriors at this point, they want to keep Kuminga, and he was playing well until he was getting better until he got injured. So it's going to be a challenging negotiation with Kuminga as well. And you risking losing him to another team, right? Or you're probably the biggest potential that you have in the roster right now in terms of the young core, and how we're going to renew with him. So it's a challenge for the future, but that's how the Warriors roster look at the moment. We have 3 spots. We did a 4-1 trade, right? Lindy Waters, Kyle Anderson, um, Andrew Wiggins, and then Schroder for Jimmy Butler. So we had 3 rosters. Quinton Post likely filling one of those. Likely no, it's already actually said he's gonna fill one of those. Has been starting. He was a 2-way, but then the Warriors are 1.8 million under the first apron. They cannot exceed that. So how they fill the rest of that roster, it's gonna be an interesting situation to see. And not forgetting that we spoke so much about the trade that last night game, the whole mess, right? The whole team knew about the trade 30 minutes, an hour before the game. Steve Kerr had to go to the locker room with them and announce the Warriors were missing these 4 players, plus Moody, plus Trace Jackson. So half of the roster basically wasn't in the game. It was against the Jazz, to be honest. The Warriors had the chance to win once more. They choked on the last 3-5 minutes. That's where we expect Butler is going to help as well. But again, it was an ugly end of the game. But I think there was a lot less focus on that. Like, everyone's thinking about the trades. But there is a second chance tonight. They're in LA. They play against the Lakers. So hopefully we can start seeing in a better mood. Let's see if Moody is going to be back and Tracy Jackson. And then we'll probably hear more when we expect to see Butler starting as a Warriors player. But that's it. I want to know your comments. What do you think about the Jimmy Butler trade, the Warriors not going for a second move like Vucevic, and if you think that we are better and we have more chances right now with Butler instead of Wiggins in the roster. Have a great day. I hope you enjoy the video. I hope you enjoy everything that the Warriors are done. The trade deadline is over. I see you tomorrow. Bye.